Nigeria's debt stock has been on the rise since the country secured a debt pardon from her foreign creditors in 2006.
Well, the country's debt stock now stands at 21.7 trillion naira. Within the space of 6 months, between June 2017 and December 2017, Nigeria's debt stock jumped by 10.6% from 19.7 trillion naira to 21.7 trillion naira.
Now, in 2017, alone, the federal government borrowed 4.37 trillion naira from both foreign and local creditors. The World Bank recently expressed concerns over Nigeria's increasing debt burden as the country now spends about 63% of its revenue on debt servicing alone.
And data from the Debt Management Office, the DMO, revealed that the federal government spent the sum of 1.48 trillion naira on debt servicing alone in 2017. Now, the World Bank says it is worried that Nigeria might not be able to sustain the trend and the economy may go down. Well, joining us via Skype is a financial expert, Nnaemeka Obiariri. Good morning and thanks for joining us, Nnaemeka.
Good morning, Ngozi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, always good to see you. Is this a security threat to Nigeria when we're owing so much and we have to use so much of government's revenue to service the debt? 1.48 trillion to service the 2017. Okay, that's a lot.
Ngozi, debt itself is not a bad thing. Leveraging is not a bad thing.
Yes.
Borrowing to fund critical infrastructure development, borrowing to fund production is not bad per se. But the major challenge we have here is the reason for raising such debts, the applications of such debts, and our capacity to be able to service and repay those debts on maturity. The major problem we have here is that most of these borrowings are done to service consumption. Most of these borrowings are not tied to projects and for productive purposes. One of the only borrowing so far by the federal government of Nigeria that is tied to specific projects is the Sukuk bond. The Sukuk bond of 100 billion naira was borrowed. If you travel across the length and breadth of Nigeria, you will see the impact of that Sukuk bond. You will see milestones on the roads where that Sukuk bond proceed was applied to develop those roads, which is very, very good. But the major problem is that most of the loans that we have today cannot be specifically tied on any project. So far, from May 2015 till now, we've ramped up our external debt level from $9 billion to about $18.9 billion. We borrowed almost 60%. We increased by over 60% in 3 years. Our total debt profile has risen from about $12 trillion naira in 2015 to 21.7 trillion, a whooping 9.7 trillion naira increase. The question here is our debt servicing capacity. You know, one of the very unfortunate things is that if you ask the agents of the federal government, they will tell you that our debt to GDP is below the threshold of that. Now, the major challenge we have here is that what portion of the GDP are they talking about? If you dissect Nigeria economy critically, the portion of the GDP that's actually taxable is about 30%. Apply our debt profile, you discover that we have actually exceeded that threshold. You see, if we borrow actually to tie it to projects, to tie it to infrastructure, to tie it to things that will help us to diversify the economy, there will be no problem, there will be no challenge. But the major challenge we have here is that we are borrowing to fund consumption. I will give you one.
And that's exactly why the World Bank has raised concerns that we're borrowing. Yes, borrowing is not bad, but what are you attaching this borrowing to?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are talking about borrowing, really, like you just said, that if it's on capital projects, no problem. So what are the risks here Nigeria is putting on itself, and especially its economic growth?
And the risk here is that a time will come when we will not be able to service these debts, when we will not be able to even repay them on maturity. See, if we are diversifying the economy, if we are engendering production, you see, there will be no problem. But the challenge we have here is that we are still stuck with the same monoproduct economy that is called the crude oil exports. And one of the greatest challenges we have is that some of us think that we are oil rich. Nigeria is actually oil poor. If you look at the volume of oil we produce every day, 2 million barrels, multiplied by 365 days. Look at the average price of the crude oil over the last 1 year. Divided by our population, you will discover that we are actually poor. We've become so fixated with this particular product that we've not done anything to diversify the economic base of the country. Let me give you an example. Assuming the federal government decide today that we are going to borrow $10 billion, $10 billion to be tied to infrastructure development, $10 billion that will be tied to public-private partnership arrangement that will yield production. I gave an illustration here. We are an agro-based economy. Our agro-base is so rich and so deep. Our solid mineral base is so rich and so deep that if we can apply most of these funds that we borrow, if we say today we are borrowing $20 billion as government counterpart funding under a PPP arrangement to develop the solid mineral industry, to develop the agriculture and agro-based industry. Because I tell you, in the next 3 to 5 years, we will have generated over 5 times the amount of monies we borrowed to repay this loan and they help diversify our productive base. But the challenge we have here is that we are borrowing to fund consumption.
Yes,
let me give you an instance.
Let me jump in very quickly because of time. Kemi Adeosun, the finance minister, has said, look, she's insisting that, you know, the debt to GDP is no problem at all. That as a matter of fact, the strategies that government has in place are really working in terms of, number one, they're plugging the leakages and they're using technology actually to, drive revenue management. And then the $2.05 billion that's owed will be converted to Naira and used to redeem the more expensive debt. So these strategies really, she's saying these strategies will work. Do you think they will or they're working at all?
Because I will ask you this question.
Yeah.
You know, I am so shocked that the Honorable Minister will claim in public that they are plugging leakages. Because I will give you one illustration. The public sector wage bill, as at May 29, 2015, was at about 1.4 trillion naira. Because as I talk to you, less than 3 years after, the public wage bill has gone up to about 2 trillion naira. Because we're talking about an increment of over 600 billion naira. Because the question I want to ask, Kemi Adeosun and co told us that they were able to discover 60,000 ghost workers that they flushed out of the system. Because please kindly tell me, if we discovered 60,000 ghost workers and flushed them out of the system, if we are truly plugging leakages in the public sector, how did our wage bill increase from 1.4 trillion to almost 2 trillion in less than 3 years?
Very good question. I wish I had the answer.
Without any commensurate increase in the minimum wage. There's no increase in minimum wage. And also, look at our recurrent expenditure profile. It's always rising. And these are people telling us that we are plugging leakages. She also said that we've converted most of our debts from local denominated Naira. Of course, they said they wanted to diversify the domestic foreign loan ratio from 69% 31% ratio to about 60-40%.
Yeah,
you want to borrow dollar to refinance your treasury bill debt obligation. Of course, you will get the dollar at about 8% or 9% interest rate. And then to refinance treasury bills at about 12-13%. There's no significant impact on this. The problem was, okay, what is even the source of the debt repayment of the dollar you're borrowing? We are assuming that oil will remain at $70 per barrel. That is the assumption. All
right, Nneka, we will have to end it there because even that is not even sure anymore. The one is that it will be hovering around 65.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nneka Obieri, financial expert. Thank you for your analysis at this time.